pretty amazing and pretty humbling. It's an interesting thing about my mother, Helen Flynn, who's she's deceased now, but she was just a terrific person. And how me standing up here today is really such a small world, because her and Phyllis's life intersected in the 70s. And I remember going down to Washington, D.C. early in the 70s there for the Right to Life marches that my mother would stick us on a bus and we'd all drive down. Or she made me drive floats in parades, Right to Life floats in parades. I took a lot of beer bottles, I'll tell you, that were thrown at me. But it's interesting how people intersect in life. And then here I stand here tonight, and it's really it's a pretty awesome experience. The entire Schlafly family that's here, it's so gratifying to see the fact that you brought your children with you. And I think that that's such a neat thing. And I think that our country is so much better because of your mom and what the impact. I mean, she's really iconic when it comes down to the kinds of things that she got herself involved in. And I think for certain types of people like Jack Singlaub, and I'm going to make some comments here in a little bit about, and just talking about some things that we believe in. You don't, even when a person is gone, their legacy continues to live on, and their real impact, you really don't know what that impact will be. You don't know what it is yet. We don't know what it is yet. And some of it is sitting in this room tonight. And like Ed and I were talking earlier today when we went over to visit the Schlafly Center, who's the next Phyllis Schlafly? Where is that person? And Ed's comment back to me was, maybe there's 12 of them out there. Maybe there's a dozen of them out there somewhere. But who's the next one? And there has to be more Phyllis Schlafly type people to continue to carry this gigantic message that we have for our country. So I think for the family that's here tonight, thank you so much. Thank you for continuing to move this message forward and to move this whole dynamic that your mom left for us to carry on. And for Ed, I really appreciate your interaction with us, my family, and we appreciate it. I also want to recognize the two daughters that were just up here of Jack, and I spoke with Jack and Joan a day or two ago. And I think for Deborah and Jody, I don't know where you're sitting at. Where are you sitting? Yeah, I'm sorry, right here. I think for the two of you guys know what I'm talking about when you're talking about your father and you're listening to Ed describe him and all these escapades and all these kinds of things they get involved in. But if there's two people, and I had called your dad back, I think it was July 11th, which is his birthday, and I called him up and I wished him a happy birthday, and this past couple of months ago. And, of course, Joan answers. And, I mean, it's like if you saw these two people, and especially if you saw General Singlaub, I mean, he could fit in his uniform today, and he could command a rifle battalion in the 82nd Airborne today. I mean, he's that strong. The guy's unbelievable. He's amazing. He's really amazing. Anyway, so I want to make sure that I'm very precise, because I know there's going to be a lot of people that will, especially in the back row there, that will pay attention to whatever the heck I say, and want to make sure that they get the words that I say right, because I really believe in the things I'm going to say. And like I said, I spoke to General Singlaub this week about serving America and what it means to both of us. And I want to share some of our thoughts with all of you tonight. Service to America requires us, today and tomorrow, to stand together as champions of freedom and soldiers of liberty who are on the right side of history. Anything less cannot be tolerated if our country is to survive. For many of us across our nation, we understand that this is not the first time that patriots have risen to this fight that we're in today. More than 200 years ago, more than 250 years ago, Patrick Henry, a great patriot who understood service to America, he warned his fellow countrymen that his choice against Great Britain's suppression of freedoms was crystal clear, as mine is tonight, as he described whether to accept slavery to a monarch or freedom? Seems like an easy choice. Almighty God, he said, I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. What an amazing thing to say at a time for our birth of our country. Another great servant, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln fought for his vision to unite the North and the South as a new birth of freedom, so that all people would be treated equally without regard for color or race. In his very famous Gettysburg Address of 1863, at the dedication of the Soldiers' National Cemetery to honor Union soldiers who had died in the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln, President Lincoln, he inspired our nation. He inspired Americans to fight on, so that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, by you, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Nearly, in fact, just slightly over 100 years later, in his 1964 speech at the Republican National Convention, another great American servant, and subsequently President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, he redefined the very essence of why the fight by Americans against tyranny and injustice will never end, must never end. Reagan said, quote, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. This time, our America, the urgency to act is at the doorstep of our democracy. The future of this country depends on each one of you in this room tonight, and many, many others that you represent around our great country. This turning point is about the heart and soul of the United States of America. You cannot and must not be silent or take for granted that our great nation will not fall to the many threats that we face around the world, and some right here at home. It is time. It is absolutely time. It's time tonight. It's time this weekend. Never a better time. But it's time to buckle down and listen up and stand ready to fight for our way of life and our traditions. For those who oppose our fundamental principles could take us down in the snap of a finger. In my book, The Field of Fight, I stated, and it's on page 111 for anybody that wants to look if you got the book. I stated that we should not fear the Judeo-Christian principles that our nation was founded upon. We should not be in fear of that. We should cherish that. We should believe in that. We should be incredibly proud of that. I will always believe that. To those in the room this evening who have served in our military or serve as first responders, you represent our warriors around the world and across our country. And you all know what your respective battlefields look like. They are not pretty, and they are not perfect, definitely. And we fight or serve America not because, this is super important, we fight or we serve America not because we hate our enemies. It's because we love our country. We absolutely love the freedoms that we cherish. When we talk about why we fight, why does a soldier or a Marine or an airman, why do they do what they do on the battlefield? And it's always about the buddy next to them, the person on your right or your left. Deep down inside, it's about the way we want to live and the way we must continue to fight to live for. Super important. Our fight for individual freedom and liberty, as I described a little while ago, will also not be pretty nor perfect. We will be measured harshly. Trust me, we will be measured harshly, and our enemies will try to destroy us, but we cannot fail. There are moments in history that are seminal, and then there are other moments that are monumental. Major General Jack Singlaub was present at all of these. And he was present at all these during most of the last century. I mean, like I said, the guy, he was 97 years old. The guy, I would not want to meet him in a bar fight tonight. He's a pretty incredible human being. And thank God our country has people like him. He always responded to the call to serve, the call to duty. And in his way, with his gifts, his intellect, his courage, and his belief system, he served our country and continues to serve our country. I'm standing here as a reflection of Jack Singlaub because of his service. Jack served our country with distinction, with honor, integrity, and with dedication to liberty and freedom. But above all, he dedicated his life to God, he dedicated his life to his family, and he dedicated his life to our country, the United States of America. So on behalf of Major General Jack Singlaub and for all of his tremendous years of service and his service to America, I humbly accept this award. I commit to General Singlaub and to you tonight that I will never stop fighting and that I will never stop believing. Our nation and its very existence are always at risk to tyranny, especially tyranny around the world. My pledge of allegiance and my solemn vow is to our beautiful country, its flag, and that pledge will never waver. My pledge will never waver. I know all of you feel the same, but every so often, it's good to be reminded. So to all of you, thank you so much. Thank you for this honor, and I hope you enjoy this great weekend, and God bless America. Thank you.